Welcome to the Rebel Health Coach Podcast with Tom Underwood. Armed with truth and knowledge, your journey to a healthy lifestyle can be obtained. Preventative wellness, quality nourishment, and daily fitness routines dramatically improve your outlook on life as a whole. And you'll find the support and info you need to accomplish a healthier lifestyle here. Together, we can empower each other along our journey to an amazing you.
My guest today is Dr. Dr Cabral. Stephen is a board-certified naturopathic doctor and founder of the Cabral Wellness Institute and StephenCabral.com. At 17 years old, Dr. Cabral was diagnosed with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. Every day he suffered endlessly for many years. It was only after Stephen traveled all over the world and discovered how to combine ancient ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine did he understand how to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. Today in Dr. Cabral's online and Boston practice, where he and his team have completed over 200,000 client appointments, he uses functional medicine lab testing and personalized wellness plans to help people rebalance their mind and body to recover from autoimmune, thyroid, fatigue, hormone, weight gain, digestive, childhood, mood, skin, and dozens of other hard-to-treat health conditions. His mission is to help people understand that there's always a reason why you have not achieved your ideal wellness or weight loss goals, and that you can and will get well again. Dr. Dr. Cabral, welcome to the Rebel Health Coach Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm happy to have you. I really love your shows. You have the Cabral Concept, and you do Cabral House Calls also. I love both of those shows. They're daily. I don't know how you do that. It's amazing to me. For somebody that records every other week, a daily show is just off the hook for me. But you are on my daily listening list. And I love the fact that you're short and sweet, and I want my listeners to know that this is a great show, and he covers many, many avenues in health and wellness. You are also a board-certified naturopathic doctor and the founder of Cabral Wellness Institute. Why don't you give us a little brief intro of how you got into naturopathic and functional medicine aspect of this?
Sure. Yeah, when I was, I was just a normal kid and just kind of grew up in Medford, Massachusetts and raised in a normal family. And then all of a sudden, when I was 17 years old, I got extremely sick. I woke up one day and literally my eyes were swollen shut. I had massive swollen glands in my neck, my armpits, my groin, my whole body was basically shutting down in terms of my immune system. And so, of course, my parents took me to the doctor, and then after another doctor, another specialist, no one could figure out what was wrong with me. And so, essentially, my blood looked fine, except for a little bit of elevated white blood cells. But besides that, everything was normal. So the conventional medicine doctors had no idea how to help me, and my health continued to deteriorate so bad that I actually had to leave school as a senior in high school. So that led to many, many years of trial and error, trying to figure out what worked, what didn't. And I was also introduced to a lot of great health practitioners, which led me down this path to eventually getting well and going back to school, getting my doctorate degree, and now practicing every day in Boston and also online as well. And fortunately, I got my health back, and now I teach others how to do the same.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. Today's episode, I really want to cover something that's controversial a little bit, but it's also a much needed add to any functional medicine practitioner's toolbox, and that is CBD oil. And I think we're going to see an uprising in CBD over the next few years. I think it's just becoming hot now, but there's a lot of great uses for it. Let's start with the differences between CBD and THC for the basic listener.
Yeah, so this was something that I didn't know if I would ever get into myself with really even talking about it, because there's such a big stigma behind it. And, I'm a naturopathic doctor who really specializes in functional medicine. I've studied ayurvedic medicine, and I'm big on the science. And so I pass it off at first as something like, oh, well, this is just, something that people use to get high or whatever it might be. And that was something that I said I would never do. I said I would always explore every avenue if it was a natural-based substance to see if it could help people. So one of the issues was that until about a year ago, a little bit longer than that, you couldn't even get CBD oil unless you were in a state like Colorado that legalized marijuana. Now, the interesting thing is this, is that when I looked into the research, because again, I'm very skeptical by nature. I had to be because nothing really worked for me. So I didn't believe, in a lot of this stuff. I mean, I took the medications, I took a lot of supplements, like nothing really worked until I figured out how to get to these underlying root causes. But with CBD oil, it actually has nothing to do with marijuana, except for the fact that it contains these things called cannabinoids. So CBD just stands for cannabinoids or cannabinol. And this is one part of cannabis. Now, cannabis is a plant, and this plant then can be used to smoke in terms of marijuana, and that has THC. THC is what gives you the high. So when you think of getting high from marijuana, that is from the THC. Now, CBD oil is non-psychoactive, which means that it has less than 0.5 of THC in it. So a very, very small amount. And yes, marijuana has CBD in it as well, but you get the high from it. And a lot of people actually get anxious from marijuana. And the funny thing is, this is very interesting because I've done a lot of research on this before I decided to even begin to use it and try it out myself, is that when people get too anxious when using marijuana, they actually give them extra dosages of CBD to decrease the anxiety. And I did a whole podcast on this. So it's very, very interesting that they're using high dosages of CBD oil in people who are anxiolytic, they call it. They have higher levels of anxiety, OCD, depression, social phobias like public speaking. Some of the biggest success stories we're having are people before going into meetings at work or before going out on like a first date, any of those things to help kind of calm the body. So yeah, there's a lot of stigma around it, but to be honest, you have to get past that because this is actually a plant and it has so many benefits. Over 962 clinical studies done by conventional medicine on CBD, which is also why they're trying to outlaw it again and then have it brought back on as a pharmaceutical drug so they can patent it and then sell it as a pharmaceutical drug rather than a plant-based medicine.
Exactly. Big Pharma is going to get in there or trying to get their mitts on it.
They are, yes.
Do you think that will happen?
So what I think will happen is the same thing that did happen with vitamin D and fish oil. They'll come out with their own variant of it and their own strain, and then I think that they'll try to patent that. I'm hoping that they don't take it away completely. I'm hoping that the public outcry is strong enough that if we allow people to drink alcohol, probably people should be allowed to, use cannabis or smoke cannabis or whatever you'd like to do with it. Again, on this podcast, I want you to know I'm not promoting drinking alcohol and I'm not promoting smoking marijuana. Like that, right. Those are drugs. And so right. People can have their own opinion on that. What I'm promoting and I know we'll get into it, are the benefits of CBD oil, which is non-psychoactive, meaning that you don't get high or you don't get drunk from CBD oil. It's only the plant-based medicine part of it.
Okay. I may be wrong here, and correct me if I am. The female plant is the one that contains the THC, and the male plant is actually the hemp. Am I correct?
So I don't know if that's correct or not. I have heard that. I have heard that before. But yes, hemp does not contain any of the THC. That, to my knowledge, again, they use hemp for clothing, for hempcrete. They use it for building. They use it for all different things. I don't believe so. But also keep in mind that was banned, not able to be grown in the United States either. All hemp-based protein until just a year or two ago used to come from Canada or overseas.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's not my wheelhouse right there. It's more like the actual science behind it. But yes, I guess that is true. And there are different strains, meaning like there are strains now that they're growing of cannabis that some are higher in THC, some are lower in THC, and some are higher in CBD. And they're just creating hybrid plants to give people a different effect. Meaning like if you're prone to anxiety, you'll use this specific strain. And it's amazing because a lot of these stores, whatever you want to call it, where you'll be able to purchase, again, cannabis is not legal in Massachusetts to purchase yet without a card, a medical card, but you can get CBD oil and it's legal in all 50 states. So CBD is legal in all 50 states. It's legal in Canada. It's legal in the UK and a bunch of European countries as well. And so that actually has nothing to do with it. Like we're able to get people CBD oil literally anywhere in the US. And that's the nice thing about it.
And you have that on your website too. So I'll leave the notes for that in the show notes.
We do, but we also just promote, again, like we try to promote the education behind it. We just say, if there's someone local in your area, you can get this. And we'll talk about what to look for. Right. But we never represent it as like you have to get something from us.
Right. We've really covered this a little bit, but there's a lot of hype. But there's also a lot of junk out there in the CBD market. What makes a good CBD oil?
So a good CBD oil comes down to, there's about 4 or 5 main things. And so the first thing is really important. There are different strains of cannabinol, or what are called cannabinoids. And you want a full spectrum blend. So when you look specifically, and I can maybe send over some graphics for your people, it's also on my Instagram account, which is just StephenCabral.com or Instagram/StephenCabral.com. And what you're looking at really are for the many different strains of that. But now, and I'll get to the most important part at the end. The other is that you really want CBD that's grown organically. It's just like getting an apple. For an apple, if that's been sprayed with pesticide, it takes all the great qualities of that apple, all the phytonutrients, all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the antioxidants, and now you have bug spray. You sprayed all over it. And now you're eating bug spray, which is a neurotoxin. That's what it's sprayed with, a pesticide, so other bugs don't eat the apples. And so it cancels out really the benefits, meaning like now your liver has to detox all of these harmful neurotoxins from the pesticide spray. And so honestly, like you might as well just look for an organic brand that's non-GMO. That's a really big thing because you know that they're going to try to genetically modify this. A big thing with all functional medicine supplements, no matter where you buy supplements, is that you want them to be third-party tested. And so you want to make sure there's no heavy metals, there's no mycotoxins like mold growing on them. Again, because you want to get all the benefits and none of the risks. The other big thing is that there's different extraction methods. So if you do a fresh pressed juice, meaning like, let's just say you want fresh pressed apple juice, we'll say. It's completely different than buying store-bought apple juice that's been heated and pasteurized. You're missing all the enzymes. You've heated up a lot of the vitamins, the minerals are now gone, and they're gone through the transit as well. So you really want the cold extraction. And the fifth thing I'll say is you want potency. This is the biggest thing. So a lot of brands will have all of this, but what you want to look for is dosage. So some people take CBD oil and they'll call or they'll email in on the Cabral House Call and they'll say, I didn't feel any of the effects. And I'll say, okay, what brand were you using? What was the dosage? Like, I have no idea what the dosage was. And it's typically 5 milligrams. So the dosages on most brands are 5 milligrams. That would be like taking 10 milligrams or like, let's just say 100 grams of turmeric, right? A lot of people like to use turmeric because it's an anti-inflammatory, natural anti-cancer, all of those different things. But the dosage that's clinically studied for turmeric to work is 3 to 4 grams. So 100 milligrams, think of that. That's 1/10 of a gram. You're not going to get the benefits. Like it's just a sprinkling. It's for marketing. So people are selling CBD oil, but it has to have at least 20 milligrams. Like you really need 20 milligrams. Some of the studies go all the way up to 600 milligrams. So what I say is if you really want to feel the effects, and I can go over some of the benefits of that in a moment if you'd like.
Yep. Absolutely.
You'll just want to take, I always just recommend if kids are using it, because again, I know like this is like real controversial. You're going to give kids CBD, but again, remember, it's no different than if you were to give a child, I don't know, just think of any like oregano or give a child thyme or rosemary or lavender or any of these things. It's the same exact type of plant. It's literally a plant that grows in nature. There's no THC involved. If you think that there's something wrong with it, you're like me, what I was in the beginning. And that's just media hype. Like literally the media has brainwashed into thinking for us and telling us that this is a bad thing where, honestly, it's just a plant. Marijuana would be a drug, but CBD is not.
Okay, good.
So going back to that, I would say 5 to 10 milligrams for children. And then and who are children? Well, I would say 2 years and up. And then I would say for adults, it's going to be 20 milligrams and up. And of course, just these come in drops. So always feel free. You can always use less the first time. Like if you're worried about it, just use 5 drops or use 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams because you can dose. It's dose dependent. You can do it however you would like. And if you need more, then you can use more. You can't literally. The nice thing about this is you can't overdose. You could drink an entire bottle of CBD oil, and the worst thing that would probably happen is you might fall asleep. Like you might get really tired. That's about it.
All right, good. And now a word from our sponsor. We'll be back in a minute.
We all know that eating healthy is a part of becoming a better person. But if you're finding the organic and non-toxic products too expensive or hard to find, then ThriveMarket.com, the healthy online shopping club, is your solution. Like the Costco meets Whole Foods for everything healthy online, you'll get the best organic and non-GMO brands up to 50% off retail prices, shipped nationally to your door for free within 2 to 3 days. When you become a member, ThriveMarket.com will donate a free membership to a low-income family, teacher, or veteran, so we can all thrive together. You never have to pay full price for healthy food again. Go to thrivemarket.com/therebelhealthcoach to get your free jar of coconut oil and 15% off your first order. This offer is valued at $18 and available for our listeners only on this special link. So here it is again, thrivemarket.com/therebelhealthcoach.
Now let's go into some of the uses of this. I know stress is the number one, in my opinion.
I would say that is number one. Yeah, without a doubt. The main reason people want to use CBD oil, just the whole reason I use it as well, is just relaxation. So there's this whole thing called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. It's one of the reasons we're all so stressed and we come down with all of these diseases, or these diseases of the body. It's because we can't turn off at night or we can't turn off the stress. And so what I said was, I'm going to give this product a fair shot. What I'd like it to do, because I'm in good health now, I feel great, I've got good energy. What I'd love to do, though, is right when I get home, I'd love to put this, you put it under your tongue, you hold it there for 2 minutes, then just swallow it. And it gets through the capillaries under your tongue right into your bloodstream. And I said, I'd love to see if this helps me switch over to the relaxation mode rather than kind of bringing work home with me or any of those things. And that's exactly what it did. For me, I got more relaxation, so I was more present with my, I have 2 young girls, 3 and 5 years old, for bath time, for putting them to bed, and then just relaxing with my wife at night, and then getting a good night's sleep and not feeling like groggy or drowsy the next day. That was what I felt. But what a lot of people are using CBD oil for is pain relief, inflammation, arthritis, anxiety, menstrual pain for women. As I mentioned earlier, OCD, ADHD, ADD, post-traumatic stress syndrome is a huge one or disorder. Autism, Alzheimer's, cancer it's been proven. Again, these are all scientifically proven studies. It's proven to help kill cancer cells as well as prevent certain types of cancer as well. It's good for nausea, digestion, neurological issues, blood sugar issues like type 2 diabetes, improves cardiovascular health, heavy menstrual-based cycles. A pretty fantastic product. So there's really no downside to trying it, honestly, except for the stigma behind it. If you can get past the stigma, then I think if you have any of the things that I just mentioned, why not give it a shot? That's my opinion.
Exactly. It's a lot better than going to the bottle or drinking 5 glasses of wine a night at the end of the day just to relax.
Because there's actual health benefits to this. That's the nice thing is that when you drink alcohol, there's no real health benefits to it. Say what you will about with cardiovascular disease, those types of things, but that's not for the whole. That's not for a whole of the population. Also, it damages your liver. So maybe it's helping a little bit for the heart, but you're damaging your liver at the same time. And that's why I can't recommend alcohol and I can't recommend marijuana. Now, if that's something that you like to do once a week or twice a week, well, that's your thing, and that's fine. But it's not let's not pretend that it has a health benefit to it. You just like to do it, which is okay too. That's okay.
Reading a little bit about the endocannabinoid system in our body, because we have that already. Is there a delivery system for CBD oil into the cells? And this is more of a phytocannabinoid, correct? CBD is a phytocannabinoid. And our endocannabinoid system is in something that we already have in our bodies.
That's correct. Yeah, so we would endogenously make some of our own cannabinoids. We have receptors. They're actually called CB1 and CB2 receptors. So keep in mind, even though this has been well studied now for a couple decades, it's not like this is recent. It's been studied for a few decades, but now that it's legal, it's studied much, much more. So what they're finding is that THC actually affects the CB1 and CB2 receptors in the brain. So what happens there is we do get those opiate-like sensations. We get the relaxation. We get the calming. But it can also be excitatory, or what they call anxiolytic, meaning like it can produce anxiety in some people. So what happens now is they're showing that cannabidiol or cannabidiol, the CBD, can block those receptors. So there was called an antagonist to them. So they can block THC from, if it's high in CBD, the THC, from creating as much anxiety. But now how CBD works is they believe it works on something called a 5-HT1A receptor. Now, why this matters is because it can then help to endogenously produce. When we say endogenous, just means make within your own body. So you can make within your own body your own levels of serotonin and keep those pathways open, kind of like a SSRI for depression. And it produces GABA. So think of serotonin as your happy, calming neurotransmitter that we all need, of course. And think of GABA as your anti-anxiety neurotransmitters. Now, this is an amazing thing because those are things that are not easy to make, meaning that 90% of all the serotonin you make is produced in your gut. And we know so many people with gut-based issues. So if you're not producing enough serotonin and you're always in fight or flight and using up serotonin, well, you need something to help out with that situation. It's kind of like that vicious cycle, meaning like you get stressed, you burn out your serotonin, and then you need serotonin to calm down, but it's not there, so you just get more stressed. And that's why sometimes just stopping the cycle, meaning like using something like CBD or using something like 5-hydroxytryptophan, 5-HTP, and again, you can't use that if you're on SSRI, or using something like GABA, can at least get you to a calmer place where you can then start to rewire your brain and you can change your response to stress.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I know you're a busy man. Is there anything else you want to cover on the CBD oil?
What I would do is if there's a page on my website that just has my previous 3 podcasts that's more in depth. Each one's about 15 minutes. All my podcasts are only 15 minutes long. We try to keep them there. And then the Cabral House Calls, we just answer people's questions on the weekends. But what I do is just go deeper into all the different diseases. And so we can just, link that up about CBD. And my podcast is just the Cabral Concept, which will, share some of these things with you. I think the work that you're doing is fantastic. Getting the word out really about sometimes products that might be considered taboo or a little like woo-woo out there, what's the CBD oil? But when you really take the time, and again, I didn't take the time in the beginning, and that's on me, but because I associated, because the media, again, brainwashes all of us to thinking that this is a marijuana-based product, but it's not. It's part of the plant cannabis. So really, when we take the time, we just look at the research independently from an unbiased perspective, just try to keep an open mind, like I said. It can be surprising because I'll leave you with this, is that there really is no such thing as what we call disease. All these things, autoimmune, whether it's lupus or Hashimoto's, all these things, they exist. But they exist as a set of symptoms. And we have to ask ourselves, when we have rheumatoid arthritis, we have this deformation, this inflammation of the joints, why do we have the inflammation of the joints? Yes, we know that you have it, but why? Is the immune system dysfunctional? Well, we'll say if it is, if you believe that, well, why is it dysfunctional? There's always a reason why. So if we keep peeling back that onion, I really believe, just like myself and the people that I work with in my practice, that you will find out an answer to what ails you. You just can't keep after asking why, and going deeper and deeper and deeper, and using things like functional medicine, nutritional supplements, and doing functional medicine lab tests, working with the functional medicine coach, like listening to podcasts, reading. I'm telling you, if you just stay on this path, you can't not help but to eventually get well.
Okay, good. Good point. One more question, I'll let you get back to your busy schedule up in Massachusetts. If you have an hour or two to relax, and just what album or artist would you grab and listen to?
It's a great question. And I'm not a music guy. So, you would be talking to someone, who does not listen to a lot of music. But what I do is read, and I listen to podcasts as well. Music's not, I'm not against it. I have nothing wrong with it, but I'm not a music guy.
No, you're not a music buff.
So you would not catch me relaxing to an album. No, I'm a relaxation guy through reading, sitting outside, reading a book, or listening to a podcast, enjoying.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time with me today. I appreciate it very much. You're an amazing dude, and I keep doing the work you're doing, and we're going to get this nation healthy in some way or another.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time today as well.
Thank you for joining in today with the Rebel Health Coach, Tom Underwood. And be sure to subscribe to the show so you can catch all the episodes. With desire and commitment, you can implement a lifestyle of wellness and fitness. For the support, encouragement, and tools you need to be successful, visit tomunderwood.net.